Morning. It's Monday, March 25th. And this morning I have to talk about a horrible event that took place in Russia. This is something that I never would have expected as happening in Russia. This is something that I would have expected happening here. But I guess we're lucky. We're smarter than they are. Maybe, and maybe not. Because I believe something like this could have happened in the United States. So Russia is reeling in the wake of the nation's worst terrorist attack in decades. And this was an operation that killed over 130 people. Nearly a dozen people have been detained in connection with this massacre. This massacre saw assailants storm a popular concert venue on the outskirts of the capital, Moscow, which killed all these people. And the attackers were armed with guns and incendiary devices and opened fire at random in the Crocus City complex. Now that's home to a popular music hall and a shopping center. And it happened on Friday night. And the crowds were coming in. And there were almost 6,500 people waiting to attend this concert. But instead of dancing and having rock music, sheer chaos occurred. Panicked eyewitnesses captured on video the exact moment gunmen dressed in camouflage fatigues and carrying automatic weapons started shooting indiscriminately. And the footage showed concert hall goers screaming and ducking for cover. And how many different places can you duck for cover in an open auditorium? Behind seats and certain things. But people were running every different way. And of course, during the rampage, one group survived the attack because they were sheltering next to a large wall of window that led to the outside of the concert venue. So when the attack broke out and they were pinned against these windows, they broke those windows and escaped the gunfire. And CNN has videos of those escapees, and it has other videos, blurred of course, but you can see these people entering the concert hall with guns. It didn't show a lot of people entering the concert hall with guns, but they were there with guns. And not pistols. We're not talking pistols here. We're talking automatic weapons, lethal automatic weapons. ISIS claimed responsibility for the assault with a short statement published on the ISIS-affiliated Amaq news agency on a telegram on Friday. So the terror group was definitely part of ISIS. They were proud. They were proud to announce that they had attacked this Russian audience. And they were praising the 4 men who led the attack. Now, none of these men have been identified because they were wearing balaclavas and the rest of their faces were blurred. But ISIS described the attack as the fiercest in years. And they are happy that they contributed greatly to this devastation. And all of this was recorded in a translation by the Site Intelligence Group, which monitors terror groups' propaganda. And this leader of this group also provided details of the attack, saying that 3 figures attacked the gathered crowd at the venue with guns and knives, while the 4th member of the group threw incendiary devices. And the attack was preceded by an intensive surveillance operation to make sure they could pull this thing off. So this attack according to them, comes under the normal context of what we consider a raging war between the Islamic State and countries fighting Islam. So Islam readily admits this slaughter. And what are we going to do about it? What is the rest of the world going to do about Islam? Well, I'll tell you one thing that happened. Putin came out and made statements that seemed to indicate that Ukraine was part of this scheme. Because in Putin's mind, Ukraine had provided an exit venue for these people. Putin is claiming that Ukraine had opened the door in some of its intensely guarded border perimeters to allow the villains in this peace to escape. Putin won't admit that his nation has sloppy security. But I can't blame him for that. Who would expect an attack like that to take place at a concert hall in Russia, of all places? But I guess ISIS is the enemy of all other religions. Strangely enough, the U.S. had been monitoring reports from extremist groups. And in their reports, they told Russia that extremists had imminent plans to target large gatherings in Moscow. That was including concerts. And it warned U.S. citizens to avoid those places. So the U.S. had somehow or other known about this or suspected something was going on. And the United States Security Council spokesman said the U.S. government had shared this information with Russian authorities in accordance with a long-standing duty to warn policy. But instead, Putin didn't say we were warned. He blasted the American warnings as provocative, saying these actions resemble outright blackmail and the intention to intimidate and destabilize our society. Of course he has to say something like that because the people recognize that he's asleep at the switch. But this is a disaster, and it should put all countries on the alert that ISIS and the rest of the Islamic community are not our friends. They are not to be trusted. Their view of the world is not the view of civilized nations, not the friends of those who don't believe in Islam. So I leave you with that this morning. A disaster in Russia. And everybody should be alert to the dangers that Islam presents to the rest of the world. Have a great day. Bye.